off of it, please.
Okay. Critic to economist, in yet another of your bumbling forecasts. Last year, you predicted that this country's economy would soon go into recession if current economic policies were not changed. Instead, economic growth is even stronger this year.
Okay, so what is being said here?
This guy is saying, hey, you predicted that this economy is going into a recession if we didn't do anything about it, but yet the economy is stronger this year. Economy growth. Which, like, at first I was like, okay, but he said if policies weren't changed. So when I read that, I was like, okay, maybe policies were changed.
If current economic policies were not changed, yes, excellent. And so the economist responds and says, there was nothing at all bumbling about my warning.
I love that.
Nothing at all bumbling. Indeed, it convinced the country's leaders to change economic policies, which is what prevented a recession. So as what you predicted is absolutely what it called out. And so what kind of question is this?
Not a roll. Oh, no.
But it starts with an R.
Reasoning?
Yeah, reasoning. So we want to predict this, right? Because these are often very tricky answer choices. And so how would you, like in your own words, how did the economist respond to the critic?
I think the economist responded in like the way that I kind of objected to it was he was like, okay, yeah, you're right, but policies did change. So
yeah, he says, he points out, what does he do? He points out, he shows that, yeah, the thing that I said was needed happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, excellent. So A says, indicating that the state of affairs on which the economist's prediction was conditioned did not obtain. So what was the state of affairs on which the economist's prediction was conditioned? What is that referring to?
I think it's referring to the policies changing.
Yes, his prediction was based on the economic policies not changing, which we did not obtain. We did not obtain it not changing, right? So therefore it changed. So he just points out, right? So the policies not changing did not happen, right?
So many
yes, that sucks, right? But
yeah.
are you following that? Okay, so the policies, like it not changing is what was sufficient for us to go into a recession. But if we don't have that sufficient condition of them not changing, then he's like, yeah, I told you that this would be what would happen. I love that you were able to go through these though and determine why the other ones were wrong, where like B, distinguishing between a prediction that has not yet turned out to be correct and one that has turned out to be incorrect. Like, no, that is not what the economist doesn't distinguish between those at all. C says attempting to show that the critic's statements are mutually inconsistent. No, we don't point out that the critic is inconsistent at all. D says offering a particular counterexample to a general claim. I don't know what a counterexample would be at all.
I went through that and I left D open because I was like, counterexample. Is that a counterexample? And then I went through E and I went back to D and I was like, that's not a counterexample.
Right. Like we're saying like this is a different, like this. Okay. And one, what would be the general claim asserted by the critic?
Is it
like maybe like the economy, like I guess the only claim he's really making is economic growth is even stronger this year. We don't give a counterclaim to say like, or a counterexample where like, actually the economy is not stronger this year.
Right.
I mean, that's the only claim that they gave. And then offering evidence against one of the critic's factual premises. I think that once again, the only premise in the critic to economist is economic growth is even stronger.
And he didn't offer evidence of the opposite.
Yeah, because all of this is just background information.
Mhm.
So yeah, A. Excellent.
Yeah. It was just like I was like, what is A even saying? But I can't pick B through E, so
You gave yourself
gotta
a
be
chance,
A.
which I love that. And this is a great one to practice for working on translating.
Mm, mhm.